Cody Ingold, are you here? Is he not here? No. Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, you look like a construction worker.
Out working on the course. That's why I always look like this, to be honest. But we had a workout this morning that went really, really well, so I'm pretty excited.
Very pleased with the progression from our very first scrimmage to our second to then our last one, and hopefully being able to build off those.
I just want our girls to go out there and play tough, play their game, and then let the coaches do the coaching and make the adjustments that they need to make for them.
I think there was a respect level for when we came out in the second half. Like, these guys are pretty good, and so we better turn it up and we better figure it out.
You're listening to the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast, giving you an in-depth look at Missouri Western athletics with interviews, features, game broadcasts, and more. Here's your host, Tommy Rezac.
From Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on this day after Labor Day, Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024, and what a beautiful day it is in St. Joseph and Griff Nation. I'm Tommy Rezac, Cole Weiberg, Connor Peters on the cameras, Rick Leahy, our audio engineer. Yeah, sunny and 74 in that window outside next to us, so hopefully you all get out and enjoy the air here this week. Going to be great weather as we've got a busy slate of Griffon events. None of them are at home, mind you, but we've got quite a bit going on here on a accelerated week. It was nice to get that day off yesterday, and we look forward to another football game, of course, but 4 other Griffon teams getting ready to open their season, men's and women's cross country, and as well as volleyball and soccer going to get things going. And one team that teed off their season, their fall season this morning, that was Missouri Western women's golf at the Central Regional Fall Preview. That's just down the road at Adams Point Golf Course in Blue Springs, Missouri. And taking a look at the leaderboard right now, well, we've had some Griffons in the top 10, particularly Ines Vandelay, even through 11 holes, as she is just 2 strokes off the lead right now. So in a tie for 6th place. Missouri Western Women's Golf on the team leaderboard, sitting 5th overall, just 6 strokes off the lead, halfway through round 1. That's a 2-round event for women's golf today and tomorrow in Blue Springs. The Griffons teed off bright and early at 8:30 this morning. Probably still some dew on the grass when they got to the tee box. Well, we're going to have talk some volleyball, of course, in the show today. Their first official action will be this Friday and Saturday. They'll be traveling to Golden, Colorado, the Colorado School of Mines, to play 4 matches. Concordia St. Paul, Colorado School of Mines Friday. Concord out of West Virginia on Saturday. Also 13th ranked Regis on Saturday. It's worth noting, Missouri Western Volleyball, their season opener, which is Friday at 2, it's against the 5th best team in the nation in D2, Concordia St. Paul. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Cross-country coach Cody Ingold will be along shortly. He'll be our first guest up as their teams kick off the season with the Platte River Rumble Gold in Ashland, Nebraska, along the Platte River just west of Omaha. The women's race at 6:30, the men's at 7:15 this Friday night, basically at sunset. Beautiful country out there. You've got Mahoney and Platte River State Park. Lots of golf courses, running courses out there. And Missouri Western's going to be going up against a couple of teams from the MIAA and some Division I talent as well. We'll talk about that as the show rolls on. Missouri Western women's soccer, well, they had a scrimmage at Spratt Stadium this past Friday against Augustana. That was Ted Lasso night. Seemed like a huge success. Lots of mustaches everywhere. Well, now the Griffons get to do it for real, but they go up north. They go on the road to take on more Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference flavor at Bemidji State in northern Minnesota Friday at 4, at Northern State in Aberdeen, South Dakota. That'll be a Sunday 1 o'clock match for Griffon soccer. 2 teams that were really strong. Bemidji's a club that won 13 matches in women's soccer last year, so the Griffons will get a good test out of the gate on Friday. And of course, Missouri Western football, well, we survived Tahlequah. We survived Doc Wadley Stadium, a rather warm afternoon turn to evening there. And our football team, how about that rally? A stressful first half, we all know that, but a second half shutout, turnovers galore. The Griffons force 5 turnovers, score 27 points off of them, come from behind to win 33-31. You know, when Coach Fenwick was up here, when I was up here talking in your face all last week, it wasn't hyperbole when we said, this isn't Northeastern of old. They're no longer a doormat. They're in a bit of a rebuild. They're in a transition, but they've got 75 new players, and they've got some athletes. They've got a pulse we can say that. And they got to play 7 more MIAA teams this year as an independent. So, it would be great if Northeastern could go knock off an Emporia, a Northwest, a UCO, somebody, and show the rest of the league. See, we weren't kidding. Northeastern, I'm not saying they're a contender, but they have a pulse. They're not the winless program. They're not the team that only beat Lincoln and nobody else. At least that's my prediction going forward. And the challenge, it ticks up a notch for our football team this week. I don't know if y'all had a chance to see it. Fort Hays State, they got rained out, lightning delay, so they played Angelo State on Friday afternoon. Got to listen to some of that on our drive home. Impressive win for Hays, a nationally ranked team. Hays beat them 21-7. So now Fort Hays State finds themselves in the most recent polls at number 24. And Lewis Field Stadium, always a great atmosphere. Under the lights, Saturday at 7. Pregame at 6 on the Varsity Network app and at gogriffins.com/listen, which, by the way, thank you to all of you out there. We had terrific numbers on the stream. And besides Ryan Mendley's mic cutting in and out of about 7 stories up in the sky in an enclosed press box. So running a wireless mic was a bit of a challenge on Thursday. But as for me in the booth, it sounds like everything went pretty good as we can expect for game 1. And thank you to all of you for your feedback. As far as I could tell, it wasn't a complete disaster. So that was good. It stayed on the air. It wasn't too loud or too quiet. So we'll continue to tweak it and perfect it. But thank you for tuning in. I know it's a change. I know it's not exactly what you're used to, but that Varsity Network app, what a great service that Sidearm Sports and Learfield provides to make it easier for you, the fans, the listeners at home, to listen to that game, and also on gogriffins.com/listen. So that's about all I got for you. We've got a fun event on campus tonight, the Student Athlete Advisory Committee's Welcome Back event for all athletes and coaches. That's at Spratt tonight from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. Look forward to seeing many of you there, and I'll be on the mic goofing around and walking around and doing some stuff. It'll be a fun-filled night with games and other things for all of our Griffon athletes and coaches. And I know Cole and Connor and Brandon and all the creative team will be there to document it and post some funny videos on our social media as well. We will take a break. We're glad you're with us. Another great crowd here at Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, or maybe you're listening on the Varsity Network app or at gogriffins.com. We'll take a break. Cody Ingold, are you here? Is he not here? No. Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, you look like a construction worker, but we will take a break. We'll take a break and come back. There's Cody. Your face was facing away from me. That's why. Cross Country is next on the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast, live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on the Griffon Sports Network. We continue from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. It's the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast on this Tuesday. Pleased to talk cross country with Cody Ingold, who is in fact here. Cody, good afternoon to you. A bit of a long weekend, your last free weekend for a little bit as you get ready to kick off this 2024 season. Going to your home state of Nebraska for the meet, which we'll talk about, the Platte River Rumble Gold this Friday evening. But it's here. It's race week. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was a good weekend. My wife dragged me to the zoo last second yesterday, so I'm a little bit tired, but it's good. We out working on the course. That's why I always look like this, to be honest. But we were out working on the course. We got a bunch of meets out there, so we're trying to get it ready for today. And we had a workout this morning that went really, really well, so I'm pretty excited. We're just a little bit there's some nasty virus making its run through. That's kind of hit us a little bit, but we'll be all right.
Yeah, I got a few days to rest and recoup. We talked last week, kind of previewing the season in depth, and strong numbers this year. 16 runners out on the men's side, 13 on the women's. I know it's kind of a tough break with Abby Kinney, Maddie Nash redshirting, but one thing I meant to talk to you about last week that I didn't get to, an addition you made to your coaching staff. I believe he was here last week, Sean Gosowich, coming over from Tusculum University, a Division II school in Tennessee. Was the assistant there for the last 2 years, but was the head cross-country coach at William Penn, an NAIA in Iowa, was there from 2011 to 2021. So needless to say, Sean brings plenty of experience to your program. What's it been like just kind of creating that relationship with him?
I've known Sean for 13 years now. So
wow.
He was my first GA I ever had as a full-time coach. So I know it was listed as assistant coach, but he ran the cross-country program at Tusculum. So it's good. Our training philosophies are nowhere near what they were 12 years ago, but they are still in line, which is crazy. He brings a lot of good things to the program that I can't provide necessarily. We're a very good match in the sense that he takes care of the things I can't, and I take care of the things he doesn't. So it's going really well. He has me really, really excited. Every day we get to work, and he's just excited about what Missouri Western has to offer, and he brings, he gets me excited about everything every day. So it's been fun. It's been a good change of pace.
Yeah. So. Cody Ingold, our guest on the Coaches Show, the Griffon Sports Insider podcast. Some of this, again, carry over from last week. We talked about Maddie and Abby sitting out this year, but, at least some depth on that women's side. We know Lillian Cutler, Claire Hemery entering their senior years. Who else are you kind of looking for to step up toward the top of your leaderboard?
Bethany Grove, she's a sophomore, incoming sophomore. She'll contribute. She's a great leader. And then the 2 freshmen we brought in, Annika Moeller from Germany, and then Caden Shipman will be 2 big pieces to add in. So I'm really excited about the progress they've already made, the jumps, leaps, and bounds they made over the summer. So I think they'll do a really good job of kind of bridging that gap. They'll probably be our 2, 3, 4, those 3 girls, and just got to find a 5th is a big thing. We have 5 girls that can be that 5th. It's just it's going to probably be week to week, I would assume.
Now, we talked about Caden Krieger and Peter Cuddy, kind of your veterans on the men's side. Caden, a regional qualifier in cross country last year. Pete Cuddy had a great spring season in distance events, and of course he's been on campus. I think this is his 5th year now. On the men's side, I know Berhe Usman is a name that came up. Who else are you kind of excited for? Lots to pick from there.
Well, you would ask me that, and I'm a brain fart. Powell, we got a transfer that came with Sean.
Right. Yep.
Powell is in phenomenal shape. He'll compete for one of those top 2 spots. Jay-Z will be one in the top 5. He didn't have a great year on the cross side last year, but he bounced back during outdoor, and he was our 1-2-ish with Riley's senior year. So he'll contribute. We're 10 deep where our 1-2 will probably be solidified, but 3 through 10 could be different every week, which is good. Good for them and good for me, but it's going to be not fun, come regional time when I got to tell someone they can't run. But, I mean, that's a huge problem to have. That's a problem you always want. And, we've kind of been close to having that problem, if you want to call it that, for the last couple of years. So it's nice to be able to have options and know that anytime you sub someone in, you're not going to be hurt. Like last year, we lost 2 big pieces going into regionals, and it killed us. This year, knock on wood, something like that happens. Is that wood? Something's wood
I
here?
think that's wood under the plastic.
Yeah. If something like that does happen, then we have the ability to fill in the gaps and just plug and play. So it'll be nice.
This table's artificial wood. I'll knock on that. There you go. Yeah, 7 seniors on that men's side. Don't fall off the chair now as Missouri Western Cross Country gets ready to go this Friday in Ashland in the Platte River Rumble Gold. 6:30 start for the women's race, 7:15 for the men. Now, Nebraska, Kearney, Northwest Missouri State going to join Missouri Western from the MIAA in that event, but South Dakota, Creighton, Nebraska, Omaha, former MIAA member, competing along with a couple of NAIA schools as well. Peru State going to make the trip up. Now, is that at one of the state parks on the river there?
So they have a dedicated course. I think they're trying to get the state course moved from Kearney. So it's really nice. It's run fast. It's got a little bit of work to do. It's just fishing growth, but it runs fast. It's a cool little venue. I think it'll be really cool here in the next 4 or 5 years once we get things rolling. But it's a deep field. Like you said, a lot of D1s. And the D2 talent isn't bad, obviously. Yeah. Northwest Missouri will probably be nationally ranked and regionally ranked pretty high this week. Kearney's the same. So it's not like we're just going – it's not your casual opener. It's, throwing right to the fire, which will be good. Yeah. We're going to have a different race plan for the weekend. So we're not going to race like we will in a month and a half. We're just going to kind of work into it and just kind of see where we're at late and run together. So.
And you said it last week. That's really the purpose of this meet, just to see where you're at, right?
Yep, exactly. So I'm excited. Weather's going to be perfect. And it's easy travel, so it'll be good.
Quick 2 hours in that part of the state for an evening race. The weather looks good initially. It looks like we'll have dry, pretty mild weather across the region. And so Missouri Western men's and women's cross country looking to start off strong at the Platte River Rumble Gold. 6:30 for the women's race, 7:15 for the men. And we'll have all the results for you that night on GoGriffons.com, so keep an eye out for that. Coach Ingold, best of luck.
You going to come cover it, Tommy?
I'm not.
That's good.
That's
all right.
That's good.
We're going to save you. We're going to save you from that.
I'm going to write about it
no,
afterwards.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
All right, thanks, Cody. All right, there he goes. Cody Ingold for cross country. Woo, steady. Steady on. Cody Ingold leading us off on the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast. We'll take a break. We'll keep it rolling with women's soccer. Jacob Plocher, whose team will also open their season on the road this weekend. We'll talk about the scrimmage on Friday and more NSIC competition headed their way this weekend. That's next on the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast, live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on the Griffon Sports Network. It's our little island in the sun up here at Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast. Tommy Rezac with the head coach of Missouri Western Women's Soccer. Second season on tap for him, Jacob Plocher, which the season getting off to an unofficial start this past Friday against Augustana. Beautiful night for a scrimmage. A little warm maybe, but a 5 o'clock matchup against Augustana. Now, Coach, I know in a scrimmage you don't really keep score, is that right? But you got to see your team run around in a match-like situation. What were your takeaways from Friday?
Yeah, I was pleased. I thought from the get-go, the girls worked hard, and we were able to control possession. We were able to kind of push the tempo. We created a lot of good opportunities. And so it's promising. We also got out of there healthy, which is important before we kick off season. But very pleased with the progression from our very first scrimmage to our second to then our last one, hopefully being able to build off those.
Yeah, so you faced Indian Hills, you faced Augustana. Was there another team you brought into play?
Yeah, we had Truman
That's
State.
Right,
yeah.
And what day was that about?
That was last Sunday.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, all that live competition, we talked about it through the week, plus some inter-squad scrimmages as well. The live bowl should at least be a little less intimidating this week.
Yeah, I think especially with, having around 10 incoming to the group, just being able to, again, get a better feel for each other and how each other play and the style. It's beneficial to be able to do that and play against other programs as opposed to just ourselves.
Yeah. Now, last week we kind of did break down your roster and what you got coming back. You're graduating 4 seniors from a year ago, but Jaden Skinner coming back looking to lead the way offensively. Same thing with Kendall Nisley. But you've got one of the better keepers in the league as well coming back in Keely Krudenberg, 77 saves last year, 4th in the MIAA, 128 in her career. But let's talk about your opposition, what you've got coming up this week. A pair of road matches up north, taking on the Beavers of Bemidji State, a 4 o'clock start on Friday afternoon. And then Northern State, the Wolves in Aberdeen, South Dakota, Sunday at 1. We played both of these last year at home. Drew Bemidji, lost to Northern Bemidji, an NCAA qualifier, won an NCAA regional match last year, 13-4-6. Northern not far behind them at 9-4-5. So, kind of a repeat of last year. You played hard. Both of those, again, one a draw, one that you lost by a goal. What do you notice as you get ready to take them on for a second time?
Yeah, the one against Bemidji, I think, is one that we're excited about because, we had the lead for a majority of that match and then, at the end, gave up an unfortunate PK. So we had the draw there. Like you mentioned, they're both tough teams. They've been to, conference tournaments and national tournaments. I think for their preseason in the NSIC, Bemidji is 3rd and Northern is 7th. Wow. So, and Augie was 5th. So it was kind of a nice test to kind of see where we're at. And then I think even last year they finished 3 and 4. So it'll be a good test for us early, and we'll be able to see where we're at.
In your mind, it could be any number, but who comes to mind when you think about biggest growth in training this fall? Who have been some of your athletes who have really taken some big strides?
Yeah, I think Kendall, she's taken big strides. She's really been a lot more comfortable in controlling in the midfield. Even Annie, one of our captains, she's a junior this year. She's taken, like I said, on that captain's role from the spring. Her game has improved quite a bit. We've talked about even our defense, our back line for a majority. It's all incoming or returning group. It's just maybe some positioning is a little bit different. So. A lot of improvement, over whether it was the springtime and summer to prepare for this fall.
Well, you get through this week, and then you come back home, our home opener a week from Thursday against William Jewell, and that sparks off a 6-match homestand. That doesn't happen too often.
No, it'll be very nice, and we have to take advantage of that, being able to, again, not have to leave, St. Joe. And so, we're excited about that, and we have some quality matchups there as well before we open up conference. Yeah,
this kicks off the non-conference slate, of course, a couple NSIC squads this weekend, and then Jewell and Sioux Falls, the NSIC, Jewell in the GLVC, and then we'll take on Rockhurst and Missouri S&T on a Tuesday and Thursday night, middle of September. And then the MIAA opener, a big one indeed, on Wednesday, September 25th against Northwest, followed by a Friday match against Rogers State. A busy September for Missouri Western women's soccer. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8 matches from now through September 27th, and 6 of them will be at home, so you get a lot of good chances to see this Griffon women's soccer team coming up. Bemidji State on Friday, Northern State Sunday, both on the road. Fridays at 4, Sundays at 1. Live stats, live stream, and of course game recaps available at gogriffons.com. Coach Plocher, good luck, safe travels.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it.
All right, there you go. Jake Plocher joining us on this portion of the Griffon Sports Insider podcast. Take another break. We'll talk volleyball as it's Missouri Western Volleyball getting ready to have a first serve on their season away from home, and they got some good competition. They'll play in the state of Colorado this weekend. We'll talk about it next. It's the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill on the Griffon Sports Network. Continuing on from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill in St. Joseph, it's the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast. I'm Tommy Rezac, joined now by the head coach of Missouri Western Volleyball, Jessica Fye, getting ready to start her 3rd year with us. Missouri Western building off of a breakthrough 21-win season a year ago, and on Friday they will serve it up in Golden, Colorado at the Colorado School of Mines, leading off with the 5th best team in the country in Division II, Concordia St. Paul, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Coach Fye, like every other fall team on campus, you've been practicing for a few weeks. We're finally here. We flipped to September. Just probably some jitters, but some excitement. What are you hoping to achieve yet this week in practice before you get on the road to Golden?
Yeah, we scrimmaged this past weekend. We went and scrimmaged Central Missouri, which was good, and we scrimmaged Emporia. I feel much better this week than I did last week when I talked to you, which is good. I wouldn't say our first scrimmage out was the best thing I've ever seen. So we played very well this weekend. We're starting to find our footing with our lineup, and people are just starting to really accept their role and find it. And we kind of know who we can trust in certain situations. So we have very minor things we're focusing on in practice this week, which for me is good. I'm glad it's not big things we have to fix. So we're just focusing on little tiny things. We're playing some teams that really like to run a fast offense this weekend. So our pace of play just in between transition balls was a little slow this weekend. So we're just trying to speed some things up so that way we don't get burned in that transition phase this weekend. But for the most part, we feel pretty good after our scrimmages.
And I'll kind of pose the same question to you I did, Coach Plocher. What area do you feel like you've made the most improvement in, and who have been making, in your mind, the biggest strides these last few weeks?
Yeah, we return a lot, and so that first week was a little rough. Everyone knows Nessa was hurt last year, and she was out all off season. So she kind of took a couple weeks to find her footing again back on the court to run the offense. She looked phenomenal on Saturday, which was good to see. It was good for her confidence. So I think she's made the most strides, just kind of getting back to her normal self. Our biggest thing for us, defensively, we were great last year. We led the country in digs per set. I don't really want to do that again because I would like to have more kills per set in on my stat sheet.
Fair enough.
And so we've been really focusing offensively on more people scoring besides Holly and Taylor. We need to be a little bit more well-rounded. We lost Danny. She was great for us offensively. So we've just been trying to find our footing, who's going to score points for us, because this first weekend, we're not going to get very many points handed to us. We're going to have to earn them, and so we're going to have to really find our footing offensively.
Yeah, as we talked about, the top 3 kill leaders from a season ago back in Holly Helt, Taylor Russell, Emma Salker, lots of all-conference honors to go around there. And you talked about Nessie. I remember going in the MIAA tournament last year. She had bandages all up and down. For her to persevere and to have a second team all-conference year, that speaks a lot to how good she is, even at 70% or whatever it was.
Yeah, she's super tough kid, very resilient, very competitive. I don't think any kid can just get through that injury like she did. She was in pain from
Was it like a hip thing?
Her hip labrum was torn all season. So
wow.
she tore it the second week of season and just progressively got worse. So she's crushed her rehab. She's doing great. She's moving really well. Thanks Brendan and Ashley for getting her back to 100%. So she's done a really nice job for us. And
Jessica Fye, our guest up here, and another returner that we touched on last week, that'd be Anna Weberg. As a freshman, you're starting libero. As she gets ready to enter her sophomore year, where do you think her confidence is at this point after such a good start?
Yeah, she had 600 digs last year. That's insane for a freshman in this league. She's been steady. The best thing about Anna is you don't really notice her because she makes everything look really easy. And so she doesn't get a lot of praise for how good she is, but she's just super steady, super consistent. When things get frazzled, Anna doesn't. And that's how she benefits our team, and she can keep things calm and composed. But she can just cover so much ground. Like, she pretty much covers half the court for us on defense. And so she just is phenomenal. And so far, preseason-wise, she's been just as good as she was last year, if not better.
A big reason why Missouri Western was #1 in the league in total digs with over 2,100. So again, we touched on this last week. Now time to dive into it a little bit. 4 opponents to open it up in the Digger Classic in Golden, Colorado. The Colorado School of Mines playing host to this event. You open with Concordia St. Paul, a team that was winning 30 matches last year, made it to the regional title match, and you play School of Mines and Regis, a couple of in-state schools in Colorado, and then you'll play Concord out of West Virginia. Again, the order for those: Concordia Friday at 2, Mines Friday at 7, Concord Saturday at 11, and then 13th ranked Regis Saturday at 4 o'clock. I know you got another ranked matchup coming up later on in the non-conference slate, but yeah, as we talked about last week, you didn't shy away. You scheduled pretty tough out of the gate. Concordia, of course, a regional opponent. Yeah. Just starting there, what do you hope to see in that first time out on Friday?
I think I'm just looking for us to adjust to the speed of play. They run a very fast offense, and so sometimes in this game, the other side's moving really quickly. You want to kind of match that. We just have to be true to ourselves and true to what we've been training to, and just play our game and not worried about playing their game, because they're a great team. Fortunately, they graduated some very good players, which could not be more grateful for that. And so they're going to be great. They're going to run a fast offense. They're just going to be steady. They're a very efficient team. They hit like 320 as a team last year, which is insane. Yeah. So they just don't make a lot of errors, and so that's why we've really been focusing on our offense and scoring our points, just because we're not going to get a lot of points for them. So I just want us to be competitive. I want us to play at a high level and just kind of see where we're at and just get after it.
I mean, you're going to play 4 matches, in about a 30-hour span there, a 30-hour window. What is the challenge of kind of scouting all of these teams and just turning around? I mean, you play Friday night and boom, you're playing Saturday before noon.
Yeah, it's tough. We get to watch some of them in between our games. We'll get to see that. We do some pre-scout, just based on the players that may be returning that we might see playing. But it's tough. In these early tournaments, we don't really want to focus too much on the other side. We want to have them to have an idea of maybe some personnel, some tendencies, what we can expect. But really, our side's going to be the side that we're going to focus on, just because early on in the season is when you see the most errors and the least efficiency. And so we want to make sure that we're taking care of our side and making adjustments where we see fit. So I just want our girls to go out there and play tough, play their game, and then let the coaches do the coaching and make the adjustments that they need to make for them.
Yeah, this will be a team that will be competing away from St. Joe for a little while, a trip to Grand Valley State and then to Southern Nazarene on deck this September until our home opener in about the 3rd week of September against Emporia State. And looking at the conference, 3 MIAA teams preseason ranked, led by Kearney at number 9, 2 receiving votes. It's almost odd to not see Washburn and Northwest in the top 25, but they are getting those votes. You have a lot of combined years in this league now as a player, as an assistant, and now your 3rd year here. It reminds me of the Big Ten a little bit, where it's the top half is just so good. So like the MIAA, what allows this conference to be so perennially elite in this sport?
I just think the location. I truly think volleyball is a Midwest sport. I think you get a ton of talent here. So recruiting-wise, you have so many kids right in your backyard that you can just go, there's just too many of them almost. So I think just the location of it, and even the Northern Sun, just this whole Midwest area is just super tough, and I think has some great clubs and some great programs around us, and we can pull those kids in.
That's right, and Missouri Western's picked in the top 5 in a league as good as this, tabbed 5th in that preseason coaches poll that came out a little over a week ago, and we're going to find out for real getting started here real soon. So again, the schedule, if you want to watch, if you want to follow the stats, those services available to you at gogriffins.com. 5th ranked Concordia St. Paul, that's Friday at 2 for the first serve. Colorado School of Mines, it's hosting this Digger Classic this weekend. Western will take on the Diggers Friday at 7. Concord out of West Virginia, they'll play Missouri Western Saturday at 11, and then 13th ranked Regis on Saturday at 4. Busy weekend, Coach, but we'll be cheering you on, and safe travels. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There you go. Jessica Fye joining us on this portion of the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast. We'll keep it rolling. We'll take a break. We'll talk football and recap one wild night in Tahlequah and get ready for what could be another wild competitive night in Hays, Kansas this Saturday. Tyler Fenwick will join us next on the GSI Podcast on the Griffon Sports Network. Continuing on from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill, this is the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast. Thanks to our in-person audience, thanks to our patrons, our hosts, Hi-Ho, and those of you listening live on the Varsity Network app and at GoGriffons.com/listen. Joined now by the head coach of Missouri Western Football, Tyler Fenwick. Well, a season opener that I know on the one hand you might want to forget, but one that's hard to forget. But the nice thing is, the lasting memory is it was a win, an impressive comeback, 33-31 in a back-and-forth, turnover-riddled game. The ball was either on the deck or picked off a combined 9 times on Thursday night. Yeah, pretty not the word we you probably associate with it, Coach Fenwick, but an inspired effort by both your offense and defense to make the plays when it mattered most, get points on the board. Took that lead with 11:29 left in the fourth. Never relinquished it behind a career night from Brandon Hall, your defensive back, showing out in some key moments and having to adjust on the fly to a rough and tumble JUCO roster that was put together in the offseason, and you found a way, and that's what's important end of the day.
We found a way, and we tried to give it away in the end.
Muff punt, yeah.
Yeah, well, missed field goal, muff punt.
Yeah.
We had, I mean, if you would have said we were going to throw, interceptions and we're going to fumble and get 2 PATs blocked and everything else, then, I mean, there's no way that we should have won that game. But, yeah, I mean, it was good to see. It was good to see just how our kids responded at halftime, how they acted at halftime, and how they, they didn't really flinch. They just kind of thought, wow, this isn't what we expected, but, let's put together a plan. And I thought our coaching staff did a really good job of kind of getting together and saying, okay, this is where the problems are at, and let's fix them, and let's change this and do this. And so then just go present it to the kids. And they went out and executed it. And there was a lot of things that we left on the table in the first half that I thought, if we dropped a couple passes that turned into interceptions. We got to make those catches. Now it's a whole different ball game. So it's that's the thing. We knew that they were going to be a completely different roster. We knew that they were going to be more talented than they have been. I was surprised at how much they'd improved as far as just looking at them pregame. I just thought, man, these guys are good-looking kids. But I think there was a respect level for when we came out in the second half. Like, these guys are pretty good, and so we better turn it up and we better figure it out.
Yeah, no longer a doormat, that is for sure. And I was kind of piggybacking off of that. Yeah, watching it from up high, you definitely get a good view. I thought a couple of things. Way better tacklers in the open field now. Darian Dortch does have an arm. He is a very mobile quarterback. I think he's going to frustrate some people for sure. And obviously they've got some athletes in the backfield and the receiving core. I mean, their first drive, they go 6 plays, 50 yards. I mean, they're snapping it in under 10 seconds, it seemed. I guess just watching it from the sideline, what kind of took you back in that first half? Like, what was kind of your first, like, whoa, this is different?
Well, I don't know if it was they played some of that tempo stuff, and we've been practicing a bunch of tempo stuff because we know we're going to see it throughout the league, and so we spent a lot of time in fall camp going through that stuff. But I think that there was just there's so many unknowns when you go into a game. You're trying to prepare for everything that you've ever seen from their coaching staff. I mean, we went back and looked at stuff that when he was the offensive coordinator at Colorado. Which was 3-4 years ago, and trying to figure out who is he and what does he want to do, and so it takes a couple series to kind of figure out what do they want to do, what is their game plan, and then they had some, the first touchdown they had, they snapped the ball over the quarterback's head, and
he picked it up, rolled out, planted, wide open.
And so the guy that's supposed to be covering the tight end that scored the touchdown went after the ball, and then all of a sudden the guy's wide open in the end zone. And so those are things that we've got to do better at, and we've got to make sure that when we have a guy, we got a guy. I mean, we got a guy the whole time. We got other people to go get the ball. So we just kind of freaked out and it was like, oh, loose ball, go get it. So it was stuff like that. But I think the second half we we put some more pressure on him, and we stopped the run. And I mean, the running back, man, that kid was 250 pounds.
Casey Riley, yeah.
If not bigger. And we felt every bit of it. I mean, every time he touched the ball, I mean, it was fall forward. I thought we hit him pretty good. But it's just hard to stop those guys.
Well, I remember Des Green was like dragging him for a good 5 yards at one point.
Yeah, he's a load.
Yeah, for sure. Tyler Fenwick joining us. Blake May is another running back that they threw at us. He was actually one of the very few guys that was on roster for Northeastern last year. Well, it struck me, when Ryan talked to you at halftime, and I know by now you're a pretty even keel guy, but it sounds like going into halftime, Eric Johnson obviously making the adjustment, bringing the pressure, making that quarterback uncomfortable. You only gave up 68 yards of offense in the second half. So defensively, especially, I mean, the adjustments, what can you speak to on that and what EJ was able to come up with?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had to stop the run, and we had to get him in passing situations because we felt like if we could get him in passing situations, we felt like we could heat him up and at least make the quarterback uncomfortable. I didn't think he was a great passer. He's not a drop back passer.
Yeah.
He's going to make you. He's creative. Mm-hmm. He's tough. He kind of gets out and delivers the ball and finds open guys. But if you get him in the pocket, make him uncomfortable, we felt like we could get after him. I think we did that. Mm-hmm. But again, going into halftime, talking through it, I mean, our guys were pretty even keel. I mean, they didn't panic. I mean, which was really cool to see because you could imagine going into halftime just thinking, just
down
like
31-14.
Yeah, I mean, like what just happened, and but it's all about and we talked about throughout the week. Just every football game is going to have ups and downs. I mean, you're going to have to go through those things. You're going to have to go through the highs of being up, and you're going to have to go through the lows of being down. But at the end of the game, I mean, it's a cumulative plays of 75, 80, 100. However many plays you run that are going to be ups and downs, and you got to eliminate the mistakes. And so we made enough of them in the first half to get ourselves down by 17, and they made enough of them in the second half to let us get back in it. So, and then we tried to make a few more mistakes at the end, but we held on. So.
Yeah, the Griffins with 3 turnovers in the first half that led to 10 Northeastern points. The Riverhawks scored 24 unanswered to take that lead. Second half, completely different story. It's the Griffins who shut out Northeastern State in the second half, and it was the first 4 drives that Northeastern turned it over, and in 4 consecutive drives, Missouri Western at least able to get points out of it, field goals and some touchdowns, and it was the 67-yarder by Brandon Hall, which ended up being the go-ahead 33-31, but even then, point after gets blocked for the second time of the evening. Yep. Defense gets a stop. We have a muff punt. Northeastern takes over basically on the outskirts of field goal range, and then penalties and sacks back them up, and we got the stop we needed, able to run the clock out. Just defensively watching it in real time, 2 guys that really impressed me. Obviously, Jaden Brown with 10 total tackles is great. Garrett Watson, Grant Finley got home on a sack. But Brock Worcester, Braden Evertson, 2 first-time starters in those linebacker spots. Maybe didn't have the most tackles, but their hat was flying to the ball almost every time in that second half.
Yeah, Worcester, when I watched the film on Friday, and when he was in the game, it was kind of like, man, he's on the ball again. Yeah. He's on the ball. He's always on the tackle. He's always right there. So, he's – and with Keenan Gaskin and JB, I mean, those guys played a lot of snaps, and they're going to play a lot of snaps. But we got to be able to keep those guys fresh, and I think Brock proved that, he can get in there and make plays and stop the run and do what he needs to do. So that was good to see. Braden Evertson did a pretty good job of, another guy that you probably never even heard the name before.
Yeah.
And he gets in there and
redshirted last year, right?
Yeah, he transferred in and he played on special teams last year.
Oh, okay.
But just didn't have a big role. He was kind of new. We didn't know much about him. He's had a good offseason. Understands the defense and where he's supposed to be, and so there's kind of been a competition at that position with a few other guys, and so he just kind of seems to do things right and understands where he's at. So. Or where he's supposed to be. But I think that's this game, you talk about those guys, and, there's been some guys that haven't played for us, Antonio.
Yeah.
He got the interception in the second half.
Yes. That was the 4th one.
The 4th one, yeah. But he's a guy that, is new to the program and new to the defense and all that stuff. So it's good to kind of see him, get in there, make some plays, and look comfortable out there on defense. And then, you look at the offensive line. I mean, it's 4 of those guys. They're all new starters, and you're trying to bring those guys. They're all young. They're all sophomores. You're trying to, get them game experience, and they're going to be a work in progress throughout the season, and hopefully by mid-year they're caught up to speed. But and quarterback is new, and so there's just a lot of those little kinks that you got to work out and gain that experience. And the receiving corps is all seniors; those guys have the experience, and and they probably need to step up a little bit more and act like it.
Yeah, Jonas Bennett did lead the team in receptions. I know Jonas probably feels bad for the fumble in the first half as well, and some drop passes here and there. The 2 interceptions off of guys' hands, back-to-back drives, just crazy stuff going on. Which does bring us to quarterback play. Kane Donovan gets the nod, stayed turnover-free the second half, settled in, made some throws, led some drives, managed that game down the stretch, and stayed upright in the pocket, 6'4", 220. They had a sack on him, but even then, he never went down. How did you see him not only respond to his mistakes, but also just kind of carry that load in the second half, too?
Yeah, I thought, overall, I thought he played well. I think he could have played better. Missed some things, missed a couple reads here and there. Probably the most frustrating is the post we had that we overthrew Trey James, and that would have been a big one.
Zone,
and those are things that again that you kind of got to get those game time, those jitters out and kind of start dialing it in, and that chemistry and all that stuff with the receivers and all that. And I think he was. He just wanted to get it out there and not miss short. So, but we practiced yesterday and we worked a lot on those throws and just trying to become a little bit more accurate. But I thought that just the urgency of the offense, we didn't have any delay game penalties other than the one coming out. But nothing, within. He gets the play, he gets it communicated, he gets everybody lined up. He's got good urgency out there. I thought he threw the ball well. I thought he handled the run game really well. Some of the, just making sure that, footwork and who we're reading on some of the RPOs. I mean, I thought he did a pretty good job. We just have to kind of tidy up some things, I think, and he'll continue to get better as he keeps playing. Yeah,
that's right. And he was helped out by a pretty good rushing attack on the night. 251, 185 of that by our very own Brandon Hall, now 2-time All-MIAA. Hard to believe it's his 4th year on campus. I mean, he said it to Ryan in postgame that he feels better than ever, and watching it up high, I mean, the breakaway speed is just next level with him. And, you saw it too. It's just so rewarding to see a guy who was injured 2 years ago. I think he was in the portal for a short time, comes back, and despite being basically the 3rd back last year, wrestles his way to All-MIAA status. And if what he did Thursday holds up, he's headed for more honors.
Yeah, no, he's healthy. He was coming off the foot surgery a year ago and from last year. But, like against the UCO, he broke a long one down the sideline and got caught. And yesterday, he ended up finishing that, and scoring. So that's, I think he's in the best shape of his life. I think he's strong. He's healthy. He feels good. Understands the offense. And so if we can get him, out in space and do some things, and sometimes he creates his own space, which is, nice to have because sometimes you don't have to block them all up. And he can make you right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about what we got coming this week, and that's Fort Hays State. It was kind of a odd coincidence that Hays was supposed to play at about the same time we were last Thursday. Lightning delay out there in their home stadium, so they played Friday afternoon. I got to listen to some of that on the drive home. I'm sure you and your staff were watching it closely, and they had a good test. 24th ranked Angelo State, a team out of Texas that made the playoffs last year, and credit Hays, they came out ready, especially on defense, winning 21-7. Now it's Hays that finds themselves ranked 24th in the country, holding Angelo to just 205 total yards. Hays pitched a second half shutout, just like Missouri Western, and what jumps off the page is just who's back. 20 starters. This isn't Northeastern. We at least know Fort Hays State and what they're doing. Jack Dawson, their quarterback, his first career start came against Missouri Western 2 years ago in their home opener, and he's gotten it his footing. He's a guy that can run it. He can throw it and improvise. 7-4 last year. Athletic and experienced on both sides. Chris Brown, a salt-of-the-earth great coach, great person. We're playing in their house. Now, history again on our side. We've beaten them 5 straight, 16 of the last 18, if you want to go back that far. But if last week taught us anything, it doesn't really mean anything. So that being said, when you watched Hays on Friday, what stands out?
They're consistent. I mean, they do everything right. I mean, defensively, they got a lot of returners, like you said. And those guys have been in the program, which is really, it says a lot about Coach Brown because this day and age, it's hard to keep your roster together. Those guys that, are playing, and you know, they're good players. They're big. Their defensive line is long. Got some really good edge guys that have some length, and you know, both linebackers I think are probably two of the best in the conference. You know, just a lot of returners. Their offensive line, you know, the offensive line is they're all juniors, and I remember, I think it must have been 2 years ago, they started all redshirt freshmen on the offensive line, or at least 4 of them that I can remember, and they weren't. They were struggling, and now all those guys, you know, they've kept them, they've developed them, you know, they know what they're doing, they know how to communicate with each other, and so that just, you know, anytime you got that, you got yourself a chance. So I think they're a really good football team. I think they're like I said, they're consistent. They don't make a lot of mistakes. They know, they understand what they're supposed to be doing, and they just do it well. They don't do a whole lot. They just do everything well.
Yeah, it's a team. They won only 3 games 2 years ago, and then they went on a wild win streak after they lost to us. Yeah, and then lost to Central and Emporia.
Yeah, I think we all looked up at one point late in the season and thought, man, they've got 7 wins.
Yeah, they're in the regional discussion as well.
Right.
I feel like every year, Hayes and Emporia, it's going to be a dogfight every time we play them, and they're kind of in a similar boat as us, where it's like, man, they've done good things. They've been on the brink of that playoff. It's like they could pop off at any given moment, and I feel like that's their program, their culture. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
So Lewis Field Stadium too, to their credit, good venue, and they
atmosphere.
Yeah, they haven't beaten us there since 2016. It's been 6 years since Hayes has gotten us in Hayes America. So under the lights, looking like another good weather night. Hopefully no lightning that's going to bother us on Saturday. 7 o'clock kick, 6 o'clock pregame from the campus of Fort Hays State University. A couple of teams that are 1-0, so let the games begin. And for what it's worth now, Hayes is a ranked opponent, so we'll see what happens. Coach Fenwick, look forward to getting down there with you guys. Certainly, if it makes you feel any better, I thought the broadcast went well. We had a lot of good feedback because I know Northeastern's was struggling. So just a pleasure to be covering you guys again. It was so fun to cheer you guys on to victory, and see you again next week.
Yeah, there we go. We got to keep it going.
All right, we'll see you back here for the panel, and we'll welcome up coaches Plocher, Ingold, and Jess Fye back here. The coaches panel to round out our last 10 or so minutes of the show. It's next on the Griffon Sports Network. All right, we're back for the coaches panel here on the Griffon Sports Insider podcast. Diving right into it. Well, coaches, what Cody?
Are our mics on?
Yes, they are.
I can't hear anything.
Here, let me turn up your headset.
I hear you.
There you go.
There's
Sorry,
no
guys.
snare.
Yeah, good. Well, I'll adjust your volumes if you get too loud. But there was a college football game on last night, Florida State, Boston College. Kind of a big upset. BC gets Florida State 28-13. Now, FSU, they're taking this a little hard. They were preseason ranked number 10. So hard, in fact, that a user on Twitter at 321Knoll, he has since deleted his account. He said, I'm not going to quote it directly, but he said, if we lose to Boston College, I will eat blank and film myself doing it, book it. He is in no man's land. He has deleted all of his social media. Pretty, it seems like a sound bet when you're preseason top 10, but this is bitten him. So I open it up to you guys. What's either the dumbest bet someone ever made to you, or was there ever a bet you made that you had to, you wish you hadn't?
Tommy, betting is illegal. At the
we don't bet on it. We don't bet on it in the
betting.
NCAA.
Follow the
I should
rules
have
for Missouri Western.
Not sports betting, yeah.
Is Madeline here? Make sure that gets
we
back
didn't
to
get
her.
the brownie points today.
Get that to her. Dang it.
But did someone ever come to you and said, I bet you I can blank? Anything ever come to mind? Or?
Tommy, I take out all bets. All bets are on the table. If someone asks me to do something stupid, I'm in.
Yeah.
So I won't turn anything down.
And I'm the absolute opposite. I will run and hide.
There's no, you can't win at life if you keep turning those things down. You know what I mean? I may die sooner, but you outlive me. I'm gonna die early. But
I mean, I shaved my head this spring for one of our
That's
fundraising
true.
goals.
That's true.
You know,
you shaved your mustache too.
Yes, that's gone.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
that thing was gorgeous.
No,
what
that
do you
was
mean,
creepy.
thankfully?
That was creepy. But yeah, that's what I can think of.
Okay, all right. Well,
a good one.
I'll make this a little bit easier, a little lighter. 4 teams this week are opening their seasons. All 3 of you are opening theirs. Tyler just opened his season Thursday. We got the NFL starting. So that leads me as a fan, player, coach. What's the most memorable season opening experience that comes to mind? I mean, they happen every year, but any season opener that you'll never forget, anything like that stand out to you?
Raiola playing quarterback for Nebraska was amazing. We actually have a quarterback who can throw the ball. Oh, you weren't talking about me. You weren't talking as a fan, were you?
Well, this is for you, Cody. Yeah, this is all you.
That was memorable.
Yeah,
it was only like 4 days ago.
It was Saturday.
It was awesome.
Still can't stop thinking about it.
We haven't had quarterback play ever like that. So
it's been a while.
It's been awesome.
It's been over a decade?
Yeah.
We've been miserable for so long.
But to quote Coach Martin, we as Missouri Western, they is dear old Nebraska U. But,
and I'm a J-sker. So.
Yeah, that's true. How about you, Coach Phi, Coach Fenwick? Any season opener that for better or worse, anything that you can think of that
better or worse?
Yeah, was it bad? Was it good? Was it your first game maybe as a fan or something? Or
tell us about your first game as a head coach. Did you win?
No.
Western Colorado?
I won 2 games the year I won as a head coach. You think I won my first one?
There we go. Yeah, we got it out there. I got it, Tommy.
2017, when I had first got to Eastern Oregon, we had to piece a schedule together, and we went down and played Vanguard, who was number 3 in the nation at the time. Very first game with them, and we ended up pulling the upset 1-0, which was pretty cool and a good tone setter for that year.
Well, Coach Fenwick, your first game as a head coach was 2013 at Spratt Stadium, and S&T lost to Western 63-3. Is that one that maybe stands out to you?
No, that one really didn't. That was not my first. That was not my first game as a head coach. It was actually we played Chadron State the week before and lost in over to double.
Oh, that was week 2. I apologize.
Yeah, week 2 was
he just really wanted to put you on blast there.
Yeah, I know.
He really wanted to remind you that you got thumped here.
Going for the viral moment.
Yeah, appreciate that. So yeah, I mean that was we played Chadron's 14th in the country, and we somehow took them to overtime and had a chance to win. But honestly, I mean the one that we just played on Thursday, that's a memorable one, being down 17 and coming back. I mean that's one that you probably don't, and against Northeastern, who has not been very good in the past.
Yeah.
So it's probably a good memory.
Well, the biggest comeback for Griffon football since being 21 down against Emporia State, which was my first time calling a game by myself here, and that was one I won't soon forget. Last one, kind of on a different topic, but Coach, you had your Ted Lasso night, you had your mustache. You said it looked creepy. I think you pulled it off. It looked good.
You're really good at creepy. That's what he just said.
Yeah, but we talked about season 4 of Ted Lasso is going to be coming out. Now, I've seen some mixed reaction on this. I thought they wrapped that show up good. Some might say it outstayed its welcome, so I don't know how big a TV watchers you guys are, but any show that you think went on for too long outstayed its welcome, or what show would you have liked to have seen get a couple more seasons?
Man, I've watched so much TV, I can't remember all the shows I've watched.
Yeah.
I think they ended Game of Thrones poorly.
Yes,
horribly.
horribly.
We can all be on that one. But
Go remake the last season.
Yeah.
I'm excited for a new season of Ted Lasso. I literally just watched it 3 weeks ago. I binged the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted another season after it was over.
It is a great show. Yeah.
I've never seen it. So
HBO. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. HBO's The Newsroom with Jeff Daniels. That went 3 seasons. Would have liked
Very positive.
It's you going to do soccer, though.
Yeah, but it's soccer, but it's not.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to dog on soccer.
So you binged Ted Lasso. What's the show that you guys binged like the longest? You just sat and did nothing. What's the show that maybe you would do that for?
There's too many to name.
Yeah, too many. A lot of long road
anytime I
trips.
start a show that I like, it's getting binged through.
For sure.
Friday Night Lights.
Okay,
the
that's a good one.
TV show, awesome. Coach Taylor.
That's a good one.
What do the Fenwicks have on Netflix?
Ozark, I think we watched that one all the way through pretty much.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. There's been a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Like I said, I have so many. I have a poor memory, too. So anything memory-based, I'm never going to have an answer because I forget everything. So lots of shows.
Yeah.
You didn't forget your first season as head coach, though.
No, that one's going to stick with me forever. Forever.
It's burned in there.
Well, coaches, I appreciate it. I hope none of you make a bet so outlandish as I'll eat blank if my team loses to so-and-so. If I'd have said that about Nebraska football, I've been doing some really bad things
You would
over the
also
last
have
few
to
years.
delete your social media.
I'd also, I'd have to go into exile, that's for sure. But thanks to our coaches. Good luck to all of you this week. Good luck to Griffon Golf as they compete today and tomorrow down in Blue Springs. And our live broadcast takes us to Hayes for football, so hope you join us for that. And we'll be back next week to recap these season openers, and we'll keep it going on the panel. Coaches, thank you.
Thanks, Tommy.
Appreciate it, Tommy.
All right, thank you to Cole Weiberg, Connor Peters, and everybody else for joining us on the program. Thanks to Hi-Ho. This was a lot of fun, and we're out in about 58 minutes. We'll talk to you. We're back on Monday, September the 9th. So back here Monday at noon at our normal time here at Hi-Ho. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Jake Plocher knocked the camera over almost, but that's okay. That's one we won't forget. We'll talk to you next week on the Griffon Sports Network. So long.
You've been listening to the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast, live from Hi-Ho Bar and Grill. If you missed any part of today's program or want to listen to it again, check out the Griffon Sports Insider Podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast.